everyone. Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Urban Wine Club podcast. I am Ari, and I am here with my co-host, Foti Stamos. How are you, Foti?
I'm well, actually, and super excited because, as always, we have amazing opportunities to bring amazing people onto our Urban Wine
Yeah,
podcast.
and today's episode is very special, and Foti, you're going to explain to us why.
Absolutely. Our goal here and our mission is to bring to light to all of our listening audience, um, the journeys and backgrounds in certain specific wines. Because let's face it, in the world that we live today, we have so much access to different styles of wines, so many different products out there. It becomes very, very saturated, in my opinion, where I believe that we like to bring it back to the classics and the basics of where the fundamentals of well-made wine come from. And in this episode, we are very fortunate to have our guests who we're going to bring on momentarily, who represent that movement. Because as you know me, Ari, we talked about this in previous episodes. You know, everyone can say, what's the best wine? What do what is the best? And that's very subjective. The way I like to turn it around is we need to look at what we call well-made wine. We need to understand that. And I think in this episode, we're going to break that down for us. But without further ado, let's bring on our guests, who I'm very honored because I'm a big fan. I've been a big fan for many, many years. And for me, this is an honoring opportunity. So let's bring on our guest, Ginevra Piccini and her family, Mario, who's always with us, and the whole crew that we'll discuss. Thank you so much for taking the time all the way from Italy to be with us on this episode. Buongiorno, by the way.
Buongiorno, grazie. Thank you very much for your introduction. We're very happy and glad to be here with you together just to talk about our life, actually.
Of course. Of course. And I think it's fascinating that every production has an amazing story behind it. We all look at the lovely labels, and we'll talk about labels momentarily. We read the descriptions, but there's more to it that's behind that. And I always look at wine as individuals. Every specific bottle to me is like a person. It has its own personality and its own journey. So speaking about journeys, this is a great opportunity for us here at Urban Wine Club to hear your journey, your family's journey, because you are so important and pivotal in, I think, Italy's wine culture, wine production, even in the modern times that we live in today. So, Ginevra, tell us a little bit more about the family, how it started, and where we are today.
So I'm Ginevra Piccini. I'm now representing the fifth generation of Piccini family. Our company, let's say, was born as a very small estate in the central area of Tuscany, specifically in Castellina in Chianti in 1882.
Wow.
So many, many years ago. But I mean, the most important things that's is a still family business. And now my father, Mario, is leading our company. We are now more than 150 employees. So it's now a big company. We are not just based in Tuscany, but we are based also in other regions of Italy. We are talking about Piedmont in the north, together with the Prosecco area. We are now invest also in Friuli, Venezia Giulia, that is in the northeast part of Italy, and also in the south of Italy, so in Sicily, Basilicata, and also Apulia. So let's say it's a big journey through Italy, through
I hope,
Italian
I hope,
wines.
I hope you have your own private jet. How do you get to all of these places to take care of business? But
Actually, in Italy, it's not very easy to travel around.
yeah,
Also in terms of trains, just by car.
right.
Hey.
Ginevra, I'm listening to you, and I'm gonna mention something to Ari, who when we talk about Italian wines, most people when they think of Italian wines, they think of very few wines and locations in this market. But it goes beyond that. And I'm glad that you mentioned that you've expanded to these other wonderful regions of Italy. Because for the most part, yes, people can identify Tuscany. It
Yeah,
resonates with this market. When they think, you said about in Venezia or Friuli, that's when people think of white Italian wine, they think of Pinot Grigio, but it goes
yeah.
beyond Pinot Grigio. So having said that, the fact that you've been able to branch out, because most wineries really don't have that opportunity to branch out, to have expressions of wines from different locations, from different varieties and different styles. I think that's fascinating that you're able to do that.
Uh, we are trying to do that. Actually, is one of our goal. When we started to invest in estates out of Tuscany, uh, of course, our main idea was to identify a territory with a grape. That actually in Italy we have thousand
Thousands,
varieties of grape. Yeah, and most of them are autochthony, so they indigenous grapes, so they can grow just there. And I mean, it's important also to let the people. I know that can sometimes it's hard because wines
right?
sometimes can be like a sort of elite, a club, but our mission is to let the people start to understand that actually it's easy. And the most important things is one, that the wine is
Right.
nice, the wine is good, you have great time, and that's the most important things for
Agreed.
us.
I would like to mention is that introduction to Italian wine. For those of us that have gone to either an Italian restaurant to discover it in the U.S. to discover Italian wines, or we go to a local wine shop, and it's either someone's trying to help you or you're just browsing the shelves and trying to
Yeah.
figure it out. But you're, I think it's important to mention that it started for the Piccini family in the Chianti area. And I want to speak a little bit about this iconic production that you've made over the years that's known for the label. Because, labeling is rather important in marketing, but something that I think happened for yourselves, and it became the path for the identity of your Chianti. And then we'd like to talk about Chianti in general, because I think it's important for our guests to understand Chianti from your perspective, because that's one of my favorite locations to drink wine. And I don't like to be biased, but I think it lends to be important to let the guests know. But can we talk about your iconic Piccini orange label from
I mean,
Chianti?
we have Mario that is that is the creator of our Chianti Orange.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think
Orange label is a part of important of our company. In the 2000, we were just approaching new wine production, Chianti, just to try to do like Piccini recipe Chianti. Um, just to have a Chianti easier for everybody, not too much complex, but not easy to produce because we like to have the flowers, the red fruit taste, not complicated, no wood, and look like easy to produce. But in the end, it's much more difficult because you won't just understand where the wine come from. Grapes e grapes from Tuscany, Sangiovese, fruit, red fruit, full body, easy, bright in color. So a little bit different than the classic Tuscan wine where you have a lot of wood, a little bit more orange touch in the color for the timing. So we say we need to wear something different to this bottle. We need a different dress. And so we start to discuss, me and my sister Martina, that at that time was there, just to have our footprint there on the label. So I would like to have a red label, just very warm, like fire, to understand the passion, everything on the bottle. My sister would like to have a yellow, a little bit more, show off everything, and very, very simple. So we start to discuss, and we went to my father just to explain to him that we have this idea, but two different points. So I remember after 2 days, my father invited us in the house. I think we're around June, July. It was around 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and was near to the sunset. And my father said, you know what? I thought in the last 2 days about how to resolve this problem, and I have the answer. We have the answer in the sunset. Orange
Ah,
color. So nobody win, nobody lose. That one born the orange label. And that one is a memory that we will bring with us in our, and from that, we really understood that we have something different, because at the time, crest on the label and everything, and classic and villas and this and that. With orange, we shocked a little bit our customer and the market, but today we are distributed in 93 different countries. So I think I can say that we are the most distributed Chianti from Toscana.
well, I would say, Mario, that's a fascinating story because it definitely has made an impact. In there's definitely plenty of Chiantis in the market, especially in the US, and that label always stands out. I remember it, and I continue to, it catches my eye. So, bravo, because not just what's great on the label, but it's also a fantastic wine as well. And
Yeah.
Ginevra, Chianti has been a little confusing over the years in the US market because, everyone has their different impression of what does it mean. When we try to educate our audience that we try to break it down that wines that come from the European markets, Italy, France, and so forth, wines are identified by their location. So Chianti being a very special location in I think it's in Italy's heart of the wine world,
Yeah.
where, we can speak about, what makes Chianti so special, where I think if we break down a little bit of the understanding, I think that will convert into some appreciation because some folks have tried different styles of Chianti.
Yeah.
And, the American palate is a little different, and the American palate always looks for richer, bolder, easier
Yeah.
to drink wines. But there's something to be said about why wines are produced in this fashion in Chianti, because I think we should discuss it's not just about sipping the wine, it's about the experience. So,
So,
having said that,
so thinking about Chianti, it's actually an area that covers most of Tuscany, that is in the central part of Italy. So if you're thinking about Italy as a boot, we are in the heart. And Chianti, let's say the most important thing, that we have different kind of Chianti. Sometimes it can be hard also to understand because there is another appellation that is very famous in Tuscany that is called Chianti Classico, but actually is a different appellation because it's, let's say, it seems to be in the same area, but actually is not. Okay, so if we are thinking about, let's say, Tuscany as a big, let's say, egg, so the Chianti is the white and the Chianti Classico is the heart, so it's the yolk.
the yolk. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
fascinating analogy. I like
So
that.
let's say thinking about the idea of Chianti and Chianti Classico. And of course, it's also hard because, but not just in Italian appellation or in Chianti appellation, but in most of the appellation all around Italy and European, we have also the Riserva Superiore, that actually most of them are related. Riserva to the aging. So when it's Chianti Riserva, We have, of course, rules about aging that must be done for months.
Mhm.
And for example, in Chianti, we have also the superiore that actually represent, let's say, the quantity of grapes that you declare during the harvest. I know that it's pretty.
So, Ginevra, for those that are listening, you mentioned like the volume of the harvest. So basically, is it the lower the yield is better
Yield.
for it to be
Yeah,
labeled? Yeah. So less
yeah,
grapes, less juice, higher quality,
exactly.
you get superior. Ari, does that make sense to you? Less
Absolutely,
grapes,
yes.
less juice, better quality.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to break that down because that's labeling is important because, consumers and guests, when they read a label, they're
Yeah.
not sure what does reserva mean, and or superiore when it comes to Chianti.
Actually, let's say I know that can be hard because Riserva is written mostly in most of the label of most the appellation that we have in Italy, but let's say in Spain as well. So let's say, but we have also not just the yield we also have sub-regional area in Chianti area. So it's pretty hard also to understand that.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so, for example, in the Chianti area, in each province, we have a different sub-region. So, for
And
example, we are based in the area of, let's say, we cover mostly as Piccini. Let's say we cover mostly all the Tuscan area. But let's say our main headquarters are in the Chianti Colli Senesi area. So we are in the province of Siena.
okay.
So, yeah.
In general, the main region of Chianti is broken down into how many subregions?
Florence, Chianti Fiorentini, Chianti Rufina, Chianti Colli Senesi, Chianti Colli Pisani, Montalbano, and Colli
Wow.
Aretini, 6, I think 6.
6. Okay. Well, that's important to mention because, most of our audience.
Do I miss something?
Yes,
Was it
one
7?
roof.
Rufina, you
Rufina,
mentioned.
I told Ruf.
Yeah, you mentioned Rufina. Yeah,
I mentioned.
yeah. And then in every location, Ginevra, sub-region, wine is so different from each other. They all, I think, have their own little distinct micro, or no, if that's not the word to use, but their own ecosystem. Even though the dominant grape for those that are listening is Sangiovese, but there's also
Yes.
some inclusions of other varieties.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about Reserva and the fact that someone says, why would I spend more money for Reserva? It's because wine changes over time, right? And
Yeah.
what it tastes today will taste different tomorrow and next year and so on. So I just want to make that distinction for those that are listening that, depending on how wine tastes today, especially well-made wine, as we're talking about wines from the Chianti area, because the American palate might find it to be a little bitter in the beginning, but
Yeah.
that bitterness goes away, and it goes away in time. And I think yourselves do it so eloquently that the textures become very, very inviting over time. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to let the guests understand that, because not every wine is for everybody, and
No.
not even the first sip is going to be liked right away. Just like when I met Ari, I didn't like him the first time, but he changed and he evolved and we became
True.
friendly, right?
I'm like a
So yeah,
reserve on myself.
yeah. So I just wanted to make that distinction, Ginevra, because I think it's important to understand that there's so many impacts and influences that wine has, and you talk about an area like Chianti, and it's so very different from each other in these subregions.
Yeah, let's say, I think, of course, the soil, so where the vineyards are, is important because, of course, the terroir, as we like to call, is important. So not
Right.
just the soil, but the exposure, the influence that we have, let's say it's important. The aging, of course, is something that influence a lot in terms of
Yes.
taste, the wine. The kind of aging, of course, is important. But to me, the most important things for a wine is the vinification process. So how it's made, let's say, especially in the Chianti, where the grapes is full of tannins, if we try to do, let's say, a vinification, shorter vinification,
Yeah.
that
If you do
I think, yeah, in terms of taste, it's easier. Of course, it's not easy to understand by a label, because it's not written on it.
Correct.
In some of them can be, but in most of the bottles is not. But in terms of taste, you will have. So of course it depends on what people likes. A thing that we have, let's say, in the Chianti is that in terms of acidity are usually or with the medium high acidity wines.
Right. And I think that's important when it comes to dining with wine.
Yeah, exactly. It's a wine that is perfect with food.
Correct. Correct. I mean, we always like to mention that well-made wine is great, but it's even better with food. So it definitely wines that are made in this style, high acidity or medium acidity, some tannins, they definitely need to be accompanied by something to eat.
Yeah.
And what better than Italian cuisine?
But
So
actually,
Ginevra,
as Mario was mentioned before, we are all around the world. And so we had, most of us, when we are traveling, when we are all around the world, we had the chance to taste some of our wines paired, not just with Italian food, of course.
Yes.
So it's nice also to understand how acidity is amazing. Is for example, for me was impressed how our Chianti was amazing with a Thai food. I mean, yeah, I was impressed. I mean, it seems to be like perfect, but actually, let's say.
Well, now that you mention it, Thai food, Thai food has so many spices and herbs.
Spicy, yeah,
right?
but they are very gentle. So
Yes. Excellent. This is fascinating. We're definitely enjoying getting to understand more about your stories with the family. And you had mentioned at the beginning of this that, when was the moment that Mario and the family decided, you know what, we're going to venture outside of Chianti and start to explore other regions? Where was that moment that was it Mario's, something in his head popped and says, I have to explore other areas outside of Chianti?
Just go around, first of all, we had to say something.
Yes.
Passion is what drives us. If you are not drive by a passion, it's not easy to go ahead in this business.
Well
so
said.
the idea was that in Tuscany we have the first vine that is a Sangiovese. So it's recognized everywhere that the Sangiovese is, when you think about Sangiovese, you think about Tuscany. So we say, why we don't try to explore other area where you have the same thing with territory and one recognizable vines. And we start with Vulture, with volcanic soil. So we have this beautiful volcanic soil. Aglianico has been the first one that we tried. Been there, I tried some wine, and the thing was impressed me. Wine, 20 years old in a bottle. They were like a young baby, very strong, still very strong with all very good characteristics. And then give us some experience with different territory, that with different people, because we have to understand that terroir is like Ginevra said, is a territory combined with people that live in the territory that make the difference. So somebody from Tuscany arrived there with the experience, tried to do something in a Tuscan way, and understand after the vinification that was not good idea. So the first 2 or 3 harvests to understand how to approach this new thing, this new grape that was not like we have in Tuscany. And after that, we start, like Ginevra say, like our Italian journey. Then we go to the Etna, another volcanic wine. And the same thing with the Nerello Mascalese, that is the king of the area for the red, and Carricante for the white grapes. Beautiful, amazing. After that, we move to the Prosecco, to the Glera. That one, because white wines grew a lot in the last years, because I think also, especially the product, the sparkling wines, is very easy to drink, very easy for communication, also for young people.
Of course.
And I think this is a very good approach to the wine. And also, I don't want to say that you can drink 24 hours a day, but 14 hours a day. You can, if you sleep 10 hours, you can drink 14 hours per day.
I like that schedule. That schedule works for us here.
So this is the thing. And after that, Piedmont, because Piedmont, how a region important like Piedmont, I think is one of the most important wine region in the world, has not in the Piccini portfolio. And looking for Piedmont, what is better than a very old, fashionable brand like Porta Rossa? That means red door. That for me has an important meaning. Is when you open a door, you have something new. You go in somewhere else. And that one for me has been the thing that moved myself just to understand that one should be the brand. So this is a little bit what happened in Piccini family. And then also because we are a lot in the family. So we have each one has something to take care about, okay, without any conflicts, you know.
So you assembled a good team.
Yeah, yes.
Important. And Mario, can you introduce the lovely people that are sitting with you at the table?
Of course, we have Marco.
Hello.
That is take care about American market, and very efficient, spend a lot of times of his life in that part of the world.
I can't complain.
Just to let to introduce better the Piccini brand on the market. And then we have Tommaso and Beatrice that take care about the social media and marketing. So they help us to grow the image, to keep fresh. Okay,
I like that.
A new Yupon.
Right.
Excellent, excellent. Mario, what a journey you've just explained to us, where for most people this is just a dream. And you mentioned something that was very important, passion, right? Passion drives everything. Um, and you mentioned all these wonderful locations of Italy's wine regions. I always like to say that, wines are not um, uh, are made equally, right? They're not the same, but they deserve to be treated equally because respecting and understanding, you just mentioned in Ginevra, location, soil, climate, but the last part of the equation is the human touch, and I think you've probably driven the human touch in these areas to showcase and highlight the best of the area. And you mentioned also about Glare and Prosecco, and it's wonderful that you are producing in that area too, because for us in this market, thanks to Prosecco, I'm going to say this, others will debate me, but because of Prosecco, the US market is drinking more sparkling wines. That style and that essence is what really opened American palates to drinking more sparkling wines, and it continues to do so. So I just wanted to mention how important Prosecco is in the sparkling category of the US.
Yes, human make the difference. We have, I won't say our procedures, but is very important for us, for my family in the past, for me, and for the fifth generation after me, to take care about the vineyards as a garden. We have people that have really the sensitive to understand, because also we are mostly, especially in the States, organic wine. We are very, very sensitive about sustainability. So what need to have the right solution? Just to anticipate the weather, to anticipate what will happen. So the man has to be every single day a little bit step up from what happened on the field. That one means need a lot of sensitive. That's very important. The other thing is the people understand that that grape one day decide to become wine, and after that just decide to go in the table around the world to let make smile people as much as possible, or just to be a friend in a very bad moment of his life. So has a very important social
connection.
Yeah, this is very important.
Excellent. Wow. Oh, this is wonderful. Anything that you might, I was going to say, like, what's next, but you've done so much, like, there's not even a question to ask, but is there anything you'd like to share with us about what the Piccini family is working on next outside of what you've just established, that maybe our audience could be the first to know? Anything that you might want to share?
Yeah, that there is a product that really represent, I don't want to say Piccini, but represent something very important for Italy, for us, and for the company, of course. In the 2011 was 150 years from Italian reunion. So we would like to produce something, okay, for that occasion. But was not easy to understand what, because if you put something with a region, doesn't give the idea of Italian. So we decided to produce a red Italian blend, produced with 4 different regions. So we have Puglia with Primitivo Appassimento, then we have a quarter of Nero d'Avola from Sicily. Then we have Merlot del Veneto to give the freshness and the color, and then just to give a little bit of just the sweet tannin of Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. Blend it together, and we make this wine called Memoro. That is the memory, just to represent Italy in a bottle. That one is a very interesting wine, I would say.
That sounds very special. And is that something that is completed or is in the works?
No. Those is already complete. That one is very interesting. Ready.
That's something that we are definitely looking forward to for those that are listening. We'll update our listening audience and when and where we can actually experience this wonderful blend. I mean, the fact that you're taking a little bit of 4 different locations of Italy's wine regions and blending them sounds very special. So that's something that we would look forward to experience it at some point soon. Well, this is amazing. I can't tell you enough how we've enjoyed this episode. Ginevra, anything you want to end off with? Anything that you might want to add for our listening audience? I think this deserves a second round at some point to bring you back and discuss some of the next steps or some of the new visions moving forward. But anything you'd like to share with us?
So we are a very dynamic company. So we have plenty of project every day. I'm not joking, every day. Because of course we are a wine company, we are working in a wine business, but we are also focused, let's say, on the market. And I mean, the vision that we have as that I can speak also for my brother and my sister, but I mean for Mario as well, and most of the people that are working with us, that our goal is to let the people understand that wine business is not something like as a club, but is for everyone, really. So our idea, let's say our goal for the next 10 years is to let the people understand what wine is, and in a very easy way, like it was actually, because now we are thinking too much on a high, let's say. But I mean, it would be important for us to let the people understand that it's something for everyone, and it's not so.
Wine is for everybody.
Yeah,
wine is for everybody.
Exactly, and but it's not easy to. Sometimes I see lots of people of the new generation that sometimes they do not approach to the wines because it seems to be like, okay, it's. And I mean, we have to do something for that.
Right.
Agreed.
Because it's in our tradition.
Yes. Right.
And it's important.
And, we try to use this platform, Ginevra, as an opportunity for an audience to understand a little better so that they're not so intimidated by wine. And to your point, most younger folks, obviously, unless they have some special opportunity that pushes somebody to try, it's challenging. So I agree with you. So we will make, on our part, all the efforts to make it easier for people to become comfortable.
Yeah. That's the word.
Comfortable. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you made me feel comfortable with wanting to drink more of your wine. I hope Ari now will drink more Chianti and more wines from Sicily.
Yes.
We wanted to thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for spending time with us to tell us about your journey, your passion. Mario, you're fantastic. I hope we get to see you in the U.S. market as well. We'd like to have a glass of wine with you and break some bread. We'd love to have you back on at some point in the near future, but I wanted to thank you so much for the time. Ari?
Yeah, I would just want to say thank you all so much for joining us. as our listeners know, the less I talk, the better the episode is, because there's so much to say on our guests, and you guys are fantastic. Thank you so much. And we just want to thank everybody out there for watching and listening. Wine is something for everyone. Wine should be comfortable. Wine is approachable. These are the conversations that we have to there's so much with the younger generation, as we spoke of, and it really doesn't need to be something where you have to be like a snob, where you have to know everything about wine. You just have to know what you like. You have to understand the basics, and it's very approachable, very comfortable. And what we always say, maybe this will be good for your social media director, but we always like to say that wine is the original social network going back thousands of years. That's what opens you up to conversation, to family, to friends, to gather around. So it's something that everybody should be part of, partake in, and it's one of the greatest things that we could do. It's wine.
Well said, Ari. Well said. Bravo.
But
Bravissimo.
thank you so much to the Piccini family and crew. Thank you so much for joining us, taking the time out. Thank you, everybody out there, for watching and listening. We will have lots of information in the show notes, and we would love for everybody to partake. So thank you all.
Grazie.
Grazie. Salute for now.